Good morning. Here we are, the first day of 2022. Happy New Year to everyone. Happy and healthy New Year to everyone. I hope the weather is a little bit better for the coming season to what we'd had last year with the scorching hot, the floods. We had a lot of problems last year, but hopefully things will be better for 2022. So here's wishing everyone all the best. While we're here, we may as well take a little look at a few things that's going on. It's a beautiful day today. You may be disturbed by some of the wind. It's very windy here today, but it is a nice day, very mild, a little bit of sunshine out, and it's very pleasant. While we're here, we're going to take a little bit look. I did purchase some worm bins. I've got 5 bins with approximately 1,000 worms in each. I've had them now, 6 weeks or so. We'll have a little look and see what's going on inside them. I'll just turn the camera around. Right, this is the first one. Oh, that's just what we want to see. These worms will be breeding. That's excellent. I don't like disturbing them. We've put feed in at just about every week. Oops, I lifted this before and the top was covered in worms, but because I've let the light in, they've all dived into it. But they're looking great, and there's quite a few worm eggs I see in there. So I'm more than happy with that. We've got plenty of worms. I've just emptied some slurry out the bottom, as we can see. If we look in there, a little bit slurry. This is the byproduct from the worms. That would make superb like worm tea that I can pour in around the plants. I'm going to put you on hold and we'll move inside. Now this is still in the polytunnel, and this is last year's onion stock. If you remember, we cut all the stock heads from here, all the seed, and I did explain in 1 or 2 videos back that onions produce king pods as well, and this is them now cleaned off. These have been in situation here since last year. The pots have never been moved. Some still need cleaning down a little bit further, but most of them are right down to the centre growth, and you can see they are all shooting away nicely. So they'll give me heads again for this year, but we'll go and take a look inside at the onions that are inside the greenhouse that we did the last time I had the video on. Right, in here we have, this is the aluminium greenhouse that's only heated by the 2 oil-filled radiators just on cold evenings. So this is basically a cold house. And as we can see, these are the late set leeks. Still all coming away very nicely. All nice, green, healthy. They're not massive, but that's about a fair size for September shows. Quite happy with those. We'll take a look at the onions. These are the onions that I didn't strip down. This one I did, and I've actually had another go. I've took a little bit more of it, but if you notice, I've had to cut into these onions and just free the middles up because they were showing no growth at all. You see there's a new growth popping out, new growth popping out of that one, new growth now popping out of that one. They are rooted. I've lifted the onion bulbs up and they actually lift the pot with them now, so the roots are right in, but as I said, they just need to be freed up. They've been dormant for quite a while. New growth there and new growth there. So that's the large onions. They are still very firm, still rock solid. No problems there, but this is the way I actually like to do my onions. These were all large onions and these have all been stripped right down. And as you can see, most of them, the growth is well away here. They will all ultimately end up like this, just the candles of the centre core with the new growth in. And this is where we'll get the leek heads. You will lose 1 or 2. There's one there going off. There's one there going off. But predominantly they are coming away nicely. You can see new growth, a nice clean bulb around them. New growth coming out of there. This will be stripped down further. So they're all looking quite good. I'm quite happy with that. So it just shows stripping them down, I think, is possibly the best way. You've got a better chance of survival. I have started moving leeks around now. These are leeks which are out the top, which I'll probably not grow. These will be put away for stock. Right, we'll have a quick look up into the top greenhouse now, so I'll put you back on hold. Okay, we're back up in the top greenhouse. I've had one or two questions. I've had a lot of visitors over the holiday and I've had a few questions put to me. A lot of people are having problems with leeks going completely limp. Not leeks that they've got from me, leeks that they've grown themselves, and they've said they were perfectly clean heads, but they are going limp from the tips back over. I asked one or two people to bring leeks up to let me have a look at, and when I've seen them, it's definitely oxygen starvation. More than likely fumes, either from a gas heater or a paraffin heater. It does cause it. One of the biggest problems, and I know a lot of people do this, they put bubble wrap up over the top of the greenhouses and they block any fresh air from getting in. Never ever, I don't do this, I never do it. If you put bubble wrap up at this time of year, we are struggling for light levels anyway, and the bubble wrap excludes light again and reduces the light levels even further, and plants don't grow, they grow leggy and spindly. It also holds moisture in, creates humidity, and it causes big problems. You can have different fungal diseases which will grow in that. So I never do. I always leave ventilation open all the time. My gas boiler is actually outside of the greenhouse and it comes into radiators fed through a water pump. It's just like central heating in a house. I know everyone hasn't got this, and you've got to use paraffin and solid fuel and gas. So paraffin gas, bottle gas. So if you've got this, make sure you leave some ventilation open in your greenhouse, otherwise you will suffer with tipping on your leeks and possibly die back right down to the centre. They will probably grow away again, but they've had a severe check, so a lot of people just discard them. I've had a conversation with someone today. He doesn't grasp the nicking back of the leek where we drop the length of the leek. He was mentioning the Geordie R, and the Geordie R for me, I've never grown it, but I don't think it's a leek that will need to be nicked back. I do think it will drop back itself at some point as it starts to grow. At the moment, leeks aren't really growing because of the light levels are so low. But we're into January now, and I've noticed in the last week we've seen a difference of 20 to 25 minutes on an evening with extra light coming through, 3 or 4 minutes every day. It's light until, well, it was 4 one night, and it was still, it was still fairly light. So as the daylight lengthens, plants will start to grow and plants will drop back themselves. I've got some examples on the grow light which I'll show you, but I will show you in case you have a variety of leek which is a long one and does need to be nicked back. So I'll just turn this down a little bit. I've been potting some virus free up this morning. Here's a tray. These are just nice little cubes. This particular plant is quite a length. Now again, this is a Cumbrian, so I never worry about length on the Cumbrian because they do drop back, but I've actually got collars on some to pull them up to this length, so I'm actually looking for a bit of length on these. But I will show you how to nick this button and reduce the length of the plant. Should have a knife here somewhere. There we go. You need a sharp knife, something like a Stanley knife blade. Basically, I'm not going to remove any flags, but I'll just drop that down, and as you can see there's a good length on that button. Now, what this friend of mine was saying was, if he nicks his buttons, they tend to lengthen. They may do on the first one, but they don't on the second. Now, I don't usually nick when they're as small as this. I normally wait until they're almost as thick as my little finger, and then I would start nicking them. But basically, we're just going to split the button there. Just a tiny little split. I hope you can see that. I hope you can see where the button is actually nicked with the knife. And I'm just going to leave that on completely. You can see it's parting there. I'll just leave that on now. And as that plant grows, that will split, and the next button should be down here. If you still think it's too long, you can nick that button and it'll drop again further down. As the plant gets bigger and it starts to increase in length, yeah, you may need to nick 1 or 2 flags at any given time. But basically that's all we do, and that will reduce the length of the plant. Now I'm going to show you, I'm going to lift this back off the holster. I'll turn it around again. I'll show you some here. These have only been on the light maybe a week, and there's still a little bit length on there, but if you take a look at that one, it's actually cracked its own buttons through growing. There's another one cracked its button, and this is what happens. some along here. You can see these have had length on them. They've cracked the button themselves and they've dropped right down. You know, the buttons were up here, they've gone down again, just over a ½ inch long, and they're looking quite decent. I've just potted a little few up this morning, and you can see again they are cracking buttons away. There's one there, gone right down. Had a bit of length on it, it's dropped down. So they'll start away now and make their own length again. So most of the stuff on here is looking fairly decent. I only have one light on at the moment. These are off. This light's on 12 hours, and it's only because I've got the virus free from the laboratory on here, and they're growing away nicely now, as you can see, well rooted. They've only been on here maybe 8 or 9 days maximum, and they can be pulled off there now because I'm quite happy the way they're growing. There's another one, look, a good example how they've dropped right down. Right, moving along, these are the later DN1s, some new Cumbrian. That's the select onion. It's well aware now that I've moved it onto the LED lights, but they're on the fringe of the lights. I've moved them, there's no light above them, they're on, just taking the excess from that particular light. So that's the Daylight 600. This is some onion seed, which I was growing for quality bulbs. They're looking very nice now. I've got the split canes around them, tying them up. DN2's looking good. New Cumbrian, that was my own seedling, that's looking nice. These are some of the bigger onions. First row, where are we? There, that one, that's from seed, and they're looking kind of nice. Chris Evans here, Chris Evans there. These are from Pips. This is Mark Rayner's. There's some good looking onions, and Mark has some good onions looking on Facebook. So there's quite a few big onions around, but I've had to put the lights off mine because, as you can see, the foliage is way up above the lights now, and it was burning as it was approaching the lights. So there's no light on these really. I need another place to move these onto where I can give light at a much higher height up above the plants. This is Peter Kerry's Blue. It's looking quite nice. That's a 5 litre pot. Dennis Nuttall's #1, looking very nice, and some Betty's. These are just been growing for heavyweights. We'll just see how they end up. Moving along. Incidentally, that was the first Blanche leeks. They are pendant. They're fairly large. I think they're possibly, well, I think they're too big for the time of year. I've potted those up and I'll grow those as intermediates. But I've just potted a load of small ones up. These were all lying over and bent. They are small, but that's about the size that I want this time of year. They'll grow on rapidly. No lights, but they'll come away very nicely. There's 3 types in there. There's an RMG, a Berwick, a Welsh seedling. I have a few pendant which I will pot up as well. And moving back over to my own pot leeks. As you can see, some of these have a bit of length on them, but I'm not worried. I'm quite happy because as they're growing, they will drop the buttons back. Most of these are fairly short leeks, and I shouldn't have too much trouble with the length. All lovely and clean, all virus free at the moment. These are the virus free from grass, as you can see. The other ones which we collared up early on, they've already got 4 inches of length onto them, and I'm quite happy with that. They look odd when they're small with 4 inches of length, but that doesn't matter. As they start to grow, they may pop the buttons and drop back as well, I'm not sure. And in here we've got some DN2s. So that's about the story, folks.